Welcome all to the Node, brought to you Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific, noon to 2 Eastern. Brought to you by myself, Veteran Crypto, aka Mike, and David, aka DeFi University. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing okay, Mike. Doing okay. I was up late last night, working on getting that Node website working, and I think it looks pretty good. It's coming
We'll be taking
along.
a look at it. We'll be taking a look at it, and I'll actually be posting live the links to the news that we cover, so that people can dive deeper.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait to see it. I think over the next couple of days here, that website's really going to come into its own. I think,
Okay.
but I'm really looking forward to the news, man. I want to see because I was reading a little bit earlier today about taking a look at crude oil. But
Yeah.
I want to hear more about what's going on in crypto and around the world.
Perfect. And later on, we're going to have Jeff, our boy Jeff over at the Blockchain Report. He's going to show up because he's been doing some farming of a new project that you might even be interested in called OPNet. I guess it's a Bitcoin mainnet DeFi play. So
Yes.
we'll get into that a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump on over to here, over here. And just real quick, show everyone, this is going to be the only place on YouTube that we're streaming starting Monday. So if you're watching anywhere else, please come over here to YouTube and go to @thenode_channel. This is where we're live Monday through Friday, and we also have our other shows. So Crypto and Chill Tuesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific. Jeff does pre-records Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11:30. He does Saturday Night Fever, Saturday nights at 6 p.m. where he does like little DJ sets. And then tonight we are going to be doing the Red Pill, which is basically just all of us having drinks, getting unhinged, talking about all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about. That's going to be tonight. And then DeFi Don, as soon as I can meet with him, we're going to find out when he's going to relaunch DeFi High. So it's an entry-level DeFi education. Those of you that are interested in DeFi and want to start learning about it, it's our show that is going to teach that. And then, of course, as you get to intermediate and advanced, you have DeFi University that David put together, and we'll show you all that as well. This is our official X channel, just @thenode channel. Here is the website that we've been talking about. So this is all starting to come together right now. Let me refresh this and see if we're live. Looks like the live isn't working, but
Yep.
this, what's that?
Yep. I'm actually working on two things as you're speaking.
All right.
Yeah.
So over here on the left, this is where I'm going to be posting as we start going through the news. This is where I'll be posting links if you want to dive deeper. Because we're just going to be able to cover the basics of each of these news topics, the headlines. We're not going to be able to go in depth. We just don't have the time. So we'll cover the meat and potatoes. But if you want to go deeper, I'll be posting the links to all the news articles. You can read to your heart's content, as we're going through them over here. So again, if you want to go to the node.pro, that's where that's going to be. And then, of course, over here, there'll be, the chat, once he's done tweaking that up, and our live show. You have DeFi University. If you want to go through the DeFi University course, it's all free, 100% free from start to finish. So if you want to educate yourself on crypto, hot wallets, cold wallets, DeFi protocols, how it all works, that's where you want to go. David also offers paid private coaching. It's very involved. It's for people that, what is it, $50,000 or more of assets to invest before it really.
It's really not about like a certain dollar amount. I would say it's more about what you want to learn. Like if there's a
Okay.
particular skill set that you really want to learn and you want to speed up the pace at which you learn that skill set, well,
Yeah.
then work with me one-on-one. And over the course of 4 or 8 weeks, I can help you build that skill set.
Okay.
So, a lot of people, of course, start with, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars that they want to, learn how to deploy in DeFi in some way.
Yeah.
But that's not really a prerequisite. The prerequisite is really like just being eager to learn.
Well, I do want to stress though that I mean it is a paid service, and it's how much is it? Have you decided yet?
Yeah, so there are two options. It's really just about like how much time you want to spend building
Yeah,
a skill set. So either 4 weeks or 8 weeks. And I've worked with literally hundreds of people in I got to say around 30 countries over the
mhm,
last basically this past cycle.
yeah.
Um, and what I found was that it usually takes about 8 weeks for someone to go from literally zero, like zero knowledge, to an experienced DeFi operator, someone who actually knows what they're doing and can operate confidently. So that
That's how
transformation.
you met DeFi Don.
Mhm.
He's been one of your students, and he's the one that's going to be hosting DeFi High. So,
Mhm. Yep, yep. So that transformative process, Mike, I found that it usually takes about 8 weeks.
all right.
Mhm.
And then this is our newsletter. We're doing just some final tweaks to it. It's going to be a fully automated. We'll go through and review it, make sure for accuracy, things like that. We'll be constantly tweaking it up and improving it. But the cool thing about this newsletter, and it's going to be available, also, on the Node.pro, but you will be able to put in what assets that you are interested in. Both traditional stocks and crypto. You can add those to those tickers to here and generate your own custom newsletter. So you don't have to just get what it is that we put in there. So if you don't want Bitcoin, if you don't want Ethereum, if you don't want gold or silver, Kent Network or Aerodrome or Coinbase, you can put whatever you want in there. And then you get the S&P 500, the Dixie, and all that as well. But what you get is for those assets that you select, you'll get what the current price is, the percent change over 24 hours, and then the source, which is important. The source of where it got that information, so you can double check, trust but verify. It gives you ranges. It will give you again the price, the 24-hour change, the support zone, and the resistance zone and the bias. If it's leaning bear, if it's leaning bull, if it's neutral. But these are important for liquidity pool ranges. So if you're wanting to set liquidity pool ranges to earn in DeFi, this is what you're going to be using. So super cool. And then you have the range notes of just kind of a little summary of what's going on with each of the assets. Of course, you have whatever the big story of the day is. You have the X feed, so it'll be like some of the trending posts that are going on X, and kind of what's going on there. There'll be the quick hits, so just additional news, kind of hot news, and then our take on what to expect over the next 12 hours. So again, this is something that we're going to be constantly tweaking and improving, but super excited about this. Me and Don have been working on this, and David's working on integrating it with the website now. All right,
It's gonna be pretty
so
cool, man.
it is
People will probably be able to like customize their own email newsletters that they receive in their inboxes using that little tool there.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's jump into the news. So DeFi Llama. As always, I like to start here. Get your finger on the pulse of what's going on in DeFi as far as liquidity, inflows, outflows, things like that. So I usually just bring up the main home, and then I usually add the stablecoin market cap, the DEX volume, and the perps volume, and then you can just hover over it, and you can kind of get an idea of what's going on in the DeFi market. As of right now, as far as the TVL, the total value locked, the flows in and out. So this is just one of the many tools that we use to just get an idea of what's going on in the markets, if they're contracting or if they're expanding. All right, so let's jump right into the actual news headlines. So right out the gate, we got Cointelegraph posted adoption. Institutional settlement rails are going live as Clear Token launches a live FX or foreign exchange or foreign currency settlement stack on Canton, and QCP Group joins as a super validator. So am I getting that right? FX? I know it's like it's a currency. But
Yeah,
what?
so FX just stands for, Forex. So yeah,
Okay,
I think that's probably just fine.
all right, cool. Just in, $820 billion wiped out from the U.S. stock market in the first 2 hours of trading today.
Wow. Yeah. It was down. It was down a little bit more earlier in the session. I'm just taking a look at my other screen. So the Russell was down, a little bit more. We bounced in the last hour or two. Basically, in the last 2 hours, been bouncing on the Russell. The Nasdaq so far down 1.3%. Bouncing in the last 2 hours. Same thing with the S&P, bouncing a little bit, only down 1% right now. Volatility is bid. Um, it's really about crude oil, I think. I think that's what's pushing things around.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, energy is the foundation for everything. So, if energy is, suffering or, is volatile, then everything's going to be volatile. All right.
Yeah.
From Morpho, Morpho Labs, it is a lending and borrowing protocol on the base network. It is the underlying protocol for the lending and borrowing that's available on Coinbase for Bitcoin and ETH. Massive, massive protocol. So, from ETH staking to stablecoin yield, Lido Finance is expanding its earn offerings into USD denominated yield with allocations into Morpho. DeFi Simplified, introducing two new vaults, the Earn ETH and Earn USD. One vault for ETH-based capital, one for stablecoins.
Hmm.
What are you thinking on this?
Well, yeah, so Lido's LSTs, those are liquid staking tokens, and LRTs, liquid restaking tokens. So there's my dad.
Oh,
FX
is that
equals,
your dad?
yeah, Mr. Zimmy, yeah,
Oh,
FX
okay.
equals
All right.
foreign
All right.
exchange. Yeah, that's funny. So, these LRTs, Lido is the largest of them, and I think it's kind of like a winner take all situation because there's a handful of competitors. EtherFi is another big competitor to Lido,
Okay.
with wrapped EtherFi ETH, so WE ETH. With Lido's product is wrapped staked ETH, and so just being able to they're introducing these two new vaults. So in Morpho, you've got curators, and it looks like Morpho is allowing Lido to curate a couple of vaults on Morpho. So I'm wondering, are those on base or are those on mainnet? Probably mainnet, I would think.
Okay.
That those two vaults would be on mainnet. And in fact, we can actually find that. I'm curious how much liquidity they've got
Go,
over there.
go ahead and bring up your screen. I mean,
Yeah,
we have
let's
time to dive into that.
let's see. So we've got these vaults here, right? And I'm looking for. I probably, if I search Lido, nothing will come up. Um, I want to find maybe WST ETH, wrapped staked ETH. So this is Smokehouse with Steakhouse as the curator. So this is probably not it. Let's see here. I'm looking for that vault, and I'll sort by liquidity. And then I'm just scrolling down through. These are the vaults, but here's the curator. So my guess would be that Lido would be listed as the curator for these new vaults. But it could be that Lido chose Gauntlet to be the curator, or maybe, yeah, or maybe another one, another curator here. So these are basically like
It
these
says it's going to
vaults.
be powered by Mellow Protocol.
Mellow protocol. Got it.
Lido Earn now consists of two core vaults, Earn ETH and Earn USD, optimized for simplicity and capital efficiency, powered by Mellow Protocol.
Mellow protocol. Okay, well, I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of work just to
Okay.
find the vaults. Yeah. So that link, Mike, to that news article,
Yeah.
um, is that were you able to post that onto the?
I'm not to that part yet. This is just X posts. I'm going to be posting the links to the actual news articles that I was able to find on the internet today.
Got it. Okay, so right now I'm working on fixing the live stream. so that the stream comes through.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that admin panel is like actually working right
I'll,
now.
I'll, I'll let you know as soon as I start posting.
Cool.
All righty. Etherscan. So I guess there's something, an address poisoning attack are on the rise on Ethereum. So it
Oh man.
says a few weeks ago, an Etherscan user, Nima, shared an unpleasant experience after receiving more than 89 address watch alert emails shortly after making just 2 stablecoin transfers. Nima noted these alerts were triggered by address poisoning transactions created purely to insert lookalike addresses into the wallet's transaction history. The main goal is to trick users into copying the wrong address when making their next transfer. Address poisoning has existed on Ethereum for several years, but incidents like this highlight how automated and high volume these campaigns have become. What used to be occasional spam can now be executed at scale, often inserting poison transfers within minutes of a legitimate transaction. To understand why these attacks appear more widespread today, it helps to look at 2 things: how address poisoning campaigns have evolved and why they are so easily run at scale. So I don't want to go too much deeper into that, but actually I will post that because that is important. So let
Yeah.
me come over here and I am posting it now. Unexpected token.
Yeah. So it's probably not going to work right now.
It says
Um,
is not valid JSON.
right. Yeah. So it's not going to work right now. I'm actually
Okay,
in the back end working on it literally as we speak.
not a problem.
Um,
Not a problem.
yeah.
I'll
So
just move on.
give me maybe like another 15 minutes, and that should be working by the end of our stream. But that those alerts and address poisoning, we were talking about some of these different attack vectors over the last couple of weeks, Mike, when we were going through some of that beginner DeFi high school stuff.
Yeah,
But this address poisoning, this is the scam right here, and it seems as though they're using these address watch alert emails
mhm.
to do this at scale. And I gotta say, Mike, I get so many of these emails. They're all basically just scams.
You
Um,
have to be so careful these days. I mean, we were talking about the phone calls. I get phone calls all the time about my tax issue. I've been getting them for like a year or two. I don't have a tax issue. But a lot of people would get scared by that. Same thing with this. You get an alert and you're like, oh shit. And so, all of a sudden now you're copying and pasting the wrong address for your next transfer. And if it's a sizable transfer, like if you're like David doing DeFi all the time and you're using the wrong address, they're just siphoning off your liquidity because you're sending it to the wrong address.
so take a look at how this actually works, though. Like it all comes down to user error. Like
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's what it
absolutely.
comes down to. It comes down to some type of it's not even very sophisticated either. Like this is kind of like a plain vanilla social type attack. Like if we
Mhm.
take a look at this here, here's how the attack works. So you've got observation, poison, interaction, and trap. So the scanner or the scammer monitors the blockchain and sees an address frequently sending funds to a specific other address, right?
Can you zoom in on that a little bit?
Yeah, let me see here. So that is pretty zoomed in. I don't know if anyone can read that, but
Good enough.
yeah. So this is what happens. So number one, scammer is watching the chain, sees that you're sending funds to and from one of your accounts and maybe another one of your accounts, and so that's the first step. They find those addresses and link them together. The second step is the poison. So the scammer creates a vanity address, and that address looks very, very similar to the one that you normally send assets to. Usually, the first five and last five of those characters of those address will match. So that's
Really?
the poison. Yeah, yeah,
So
that's the
I
poison
need
part.
to start looking at more than that because that's usually all I look at. So I need to start looking at more than that.
Yeah, so really what you should do, Mike, is just save your addresses in your wallet.
Mhm.
Like whitelist them,
Okay.
and then that way you'll know when you're sending assets from wallet A to wallet B or address A to address B. they're already whitelisted, so you know that you're sending them to the right ones, because the copy paste part. So, the scammer creates an address that looks identical to your address, the address that you want to send funds to, and they send these, $0 transactions or like tiny amounts of worthless tokens
Yeah.
from their fake address to your wallet. So that's the interaction. So now you've got their address
Mhm.
in your transaction history, and
Mhm.
it looks identical to the address that you actually want to send assets to, but it's not. It's actually different. It's just got the
Yeah.
first five and the last five. And so now when you look at your transaction history to go and copy your destination address, you accidentally copy the scammer's poisoned address because it looks the same at a glance. So,
Gotcha.
at the bottom line here is don't fuck up. Don't do this. Like, that's the bottom line here is you really just got to be a little bit more careful. Like, I've helped so many people, build a DeFi operator skill set. And one thing that I see people do over and over and over again is move too fast. When I see people, opening up their wallet extension and, signing transactions, I move very slowly when I do that. Now, look, I do this for a living, so I can move fast, but it's really not a good idea to
Well,
move
it's not a
fast.
good habit to get into.
No.
And Jeff brings in the chat brings up a good point. He says, yes, whitelist those addresses. The Rabby wallet does a good job with that. And he says it will also alert you if you've never sent a transaction to that address before.
Right.
So if you
Exactly.
think that you're sending it to one of your whitelisted addresses or one of your addresses, and it will pop up and say hey, this isn't an address that you've used before. Are you sure? So that's actually a really cool feature. So that's Rabby Wallet.
Yeah, Rabby's super cool. It'll keep you from scamming yourself because that's basically what happens there. You're scamming
Well,
yourself.
honestly, you're right. We're our own worst enemy. Through bad habits and going too fast, and you're trying to FOMO into something, and you make mistakes. In the military, we have a saying that slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You don't have to move fast to be fast. It's better to have good habits, move with make sure that your moves are very deliberate, but don't move in an erratic fashion, wasted energy. So just if you're trying to do a transaction, it's like, okay, I'm going to pull up my wallet. I'm going to if it's the Rabby wallet, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to double and triple check. I'm going to look, as soon as I put that in, am I getting that alert that he's talking about? Okay, I'm not. I'm going to check, now more than the first and last five. I'm going to check the first and last like eight or something like that, and just get into these this muscle memory of every time that you do these things, you do the same thing every time, because then you won't skip a step. It's you have to create good habits.
Yeah, Mike, really with these different scam attempts, it all comes down to the user. Like
Yeah,
that's basically at the end of the day,
they're counting on you.
the vast majority of scammers out there only are able to steal funds because people give it to them.
Mhm.
Like that's the way that this works. There are almost always some type of social engineering attack, especially in DeFi and crypto, man, because this stuff is very secure. It is almost always user error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next article is the first 5 months of the 2026 fiscal year. The U.S. government took in $2.1 trillion and spent $3.1 trillion. Don't try this at home.
Hmm.
So basically, this is just highlighting our broken government. They're spending more than they're taking in, and everything that they're taking in for the most part is our money, our taxes. And whenever they need money, they're just printing more. So I want to keep highlighting this, and how we, the people, need to start taking responsibility for our own finances to combat the inflation, and basically the destruction of the US dollar that our government is creating. So that's why we're here. We're here to educate you all out there on, ways to invest to try to combat this inflation. Anybody that's an adult that's doing adult things has seen just since COVID. You've seen the price of things double and triple in some cases. In fact, right here, Charlie Balello, I don't know who that is, but price increases over the past 5 years. CPI on gasoline, plus 17%. Used cars, 19%. New cars, 19%. Food at home, I would say it's a lot more than 26%.
Yeah, it's much closer to like 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Shelter, 28%. Food away from home, 30%. Fuel oil, 34%. Electricity, 36%. Home prices, 39%. Everything is getting more expensive. And I guarantee you that, you're not getting raises at your job, or if if you have a pension or a retirement, unless it's investments to where, you're invested in the stock market, or something like that, that's out earning that inflation, you're losing money. If you have money sitting in the bank, you are losing money. So
So,
just
so
wanted to
Mike,
point.
it's actually much worse and much scarier than that. Here, let me add to the stage my this right here. Let me bring that up. So take a look at this. Over the last 500 years, there have been a handful of world reserve currencies, and I've got them listed right here. And they've all had a dominance period of between 80 and 110 years. Okay. And so, you know what's happened to each and every one of them? They have all failed at some point or other. So, to think that the US dollar could not lose its status as the world reserve currency is to ignore the last 500 years of world history. So
Yes.
take a look at the Spanish real, 110 years dominance. Remember, did you ever? I love reading history, and the Spanish
Dude,
men, when they
if if you
were,
if you learn history, you can almost see the future.
yeah, yeah, because we repeat the same patterns over and over again. You know, just we don't have very long memories because unfortunately our lifespans are very short. Like by the time you're 70 or 80 years old and you actually know something about the world, then you fucking die. It's like, what?
Dude,
You know?
everything is a cycle. I
Yeah.
mean, fashion, freaking, money, economies, governments. If you look at history, you can see. I mean, Bitcoin has a cycle. All the different, financial, aspects of our economy. Everything's a cycle. Everyone's always talking about cycles, and you can just see it. And all the charts they do with the waveforms and all the different charts that are out there. You can see everything is cyclic.
Yeah, and I mean, take a look. So the Spanish real, really, really beautiful gold coins, right, Mike? Those
Oh
those
yeah,
Spanish,
like aesthetically, yes.
yeah, beautiful gold coins, man. But so the real, 110 years, and it blew up because of hyperinflation and debt. So maybe we need to read a little bit more about how the Spanish real lost its status as the world reserve currency 500 years ago, so that we don't repeat that same stupid error. The Dutch guilder, it lost world reserve currency because of war and the loss of trade power. The French franc lost because of military defeat. Oh, well, that makes sense. The French military defeat, yeah, makes sense. And then the British pound lost its world reserve currency status because of war debt and industrial decline. And the U.S. dollar, from 1944 to present, is the world reserve currency. So we've probably got, another 20 or 30 years at least, unless we blow it up ourselves by spending $1 trillion more or
And we
$2
take in.
trillion more each year than what we take in. I mean, it's just like basic math here. Like if the government is spending $1 or $2 trillion more than what it takes in each year, well, then you're going to see the money supply inflate. You're going to see inflation move sharply higher. And eventually, people are not going to want to hold dollars.
Well, they're
So
not going to, and they're not going to buy bonds, which is basically what props up the dollar. And people are buying our debt because of our credit worthiness.
right.
That are they're betting on the fact that we're going to pay that debt back. And if they don't believe in that, they're going to stop buying it. It's already happening. The U.S. government started buying its own debt, so it's printing money to buy its own debt. Make that make sense.
Yeah, that's not a good cycle to be in. That's
No,
bad.
it's a death spiral. It's
It
it's a death
is.
spiral.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So let's get into the news stories. That aren't on X. BlackRock launches iShares Stake Ethereum Trust ETF. ETHB, the first major staked ETH ETF, begins trading on the Nasdaq, meeting growing institutional demand for yield-bearing crypto exposure and combining spot ETH with staking rewards. 82% of rewards pass to investors. So this looks like it would be something that pays dividends, David?
Yeah, that's, I'm not quite sure exactly what the mechanism is, but we can certainly find out.
Absolutely.
So let me see here. Let's take a look. What was so I'm going to say,
ETHB.
tell me about the BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Tell me about the BlackRock Ethereum
iShares Staked Ethereum Trust.
staking ETF trust.
The ticker is Echo Tango Hotel Bravo.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see. Let's see what Gemini has to say about this particular product. It says it's BlackRock's newest digital asset product launched today, March 12th. And it says that it's different than their original ETH ETF, ETH-A, because it's the first BlackRock product to incorporate on-chain staking rewards directly into the fund's structure. So it says ETH-B is designed as a quote unquote total return product. So unlike that first ETF that just tracks the price of the underlying asset, this one is a total return. So you get this staking mechanism. They're aiming for 70 to 95% staking ratio. Oh, got it. So they're not actually going to stake 100% of the fund's assets. And they're doing that through Coinbase Prime. And then they're saying that 82% of the gross staking rewards are passed through to the net asset value or distributed. So that means that the fund is keeping a large chunk of those staking rewards.
Mm.
So that's how they make a ton of money. I bet they're at least plan to.
Imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. And so here's the quote unquote liquidity sleeve. So to ensure investors can still sell their shares instantly, even while the underlying ETH is locked in staking, BlackRock maintains a buffer of 5 to 30% in liquid unstaked ETH. Okay, so that could become a problem. Imagine a situation where this ETH-B ETF trust product, has, let's say, 95% of its ETH, just staked, and they've got 5% liquid. And all of a sudden, all of the people who are holding shares say, hey, I want to go ahead and sell my ETH right now. I want to sell
Yeah.
my ETH-B right now. And they've only got 5%. That's almost like that fractional reserve model, where you've
Well,
lent out, multiple times over. And so
well, we
all
were
the
we were
people,
talking about that issue before, where BlackRock the other day had to freeze withdrawals because they didn't have basically the liquidity to support or to honor those withdrawals.
right? Yeah. So that's called a duration mismatch. So
Okay.
what's going on in private credit looks to me like a duration mismatch, where
Okay.
all of those funds have lent to, longer term loans. They've lent out assets in the form of like longer term loans of like 5 years, but the performance of those loans is in the tank, and
Yeah.
so not good. And so people are saying, hey, give me my money back, but they don't have enough to be able to meet the redemptions because they loaned it all out.
Yes.
So what they've got liquid to repay their investors is much, much less than what they've got locked up for the next 5 years. So there's this
Yes.
mismatch, this duration mismatch. But this here, with the ETH-B ETF, this liquidity sleeve, this looks like maybe not a duration mismatch, but when it's locked, when ETH is locked in staking like this, you
Mhm.
can't move it. You can't sell it. You've got to first
Exactly.
unstake. And the unstaking process can take a couple of hours, or it can take a couple of days, or it can take weeks.
Yeah.
So if they've got all this ETH locked up in staking, and then all of a sudden, holders of ETH-B say, "Hey, I want to sell this
Well,
right now."
basically, if there's a run on the bank,
Basically, so if ETH dumps really really hard, if it dumps and people just want to be able to get
panic
out,
sell.
yeah, then they won't be able to meet those redemptions unless they keep a significant share of the ETH in the ETF product just sitting, liquid, not
So
staked.
so Boltardia, he says I guess it's 75 days.
Is that what it is right now?
I
Um,
guess. I mean, that's what he's saying.
because
That's what
it
she's
it
saying.
was it, it was just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was at 0 days. What is the unstaking period for Ethereum right now? I'm just curious to see what it is right now, because I know that over the summer it was as long as 75 days, but the exit queue, which is the time it takes to unstake ETH, depends. Let's see here.
That's what he's saying is it's the worst that he saw recently was 75 days. It depends on the withdrawal line. So if there's a run on people trying to unstake, then it will get longer and longer and longer. Depending on where you are in the queue. And my understanding is that and correct me if I'm wrong on this, David, is people can pay for like priority.
So yeah, it looks to me like it's going to take between 2 and 9 days. Let's say that you had 30 ETH that you wanted to unstake. That process, going from actually unstaking to getting the ETH back and being able to sell it, that would take between 2 and 9 days as of right now.
Mm.
So, yeah, but let's see here. It says there are 3.4 million ETH waiting to be staked. So that's an entry queue.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
let's go ahead and move on. We got a bunch of news to cover. I don't want to get too deep into these, but yeah, it's just that's an important aspect to understand is that how these investments work. It's just like the tokenomics of a token. You need to understand these nuances before you invest in these things because you might invest and you might want to get out and you might not be able to. So understand these things, and that's part of what we try to do here. With DeFi University and the courses is we're trying to educate you on these investments. So if you do invest, you do it fully knowledgeable about what you're doing. So all right, next up. Tether invests in Arc Labs to enable stablecoins on Bitcoin rails. Tether joins 5.2 million funding round for Arc Labs to build programmable infrastructure, allowing stablecoins like USDT to move and settle directly on Bitcoin, expanding BTC's utility for payments. This is big news.
yeah, wow. So settle on Bitcoin rails. So yeah, this is something that I've actually been building.
I
So
know that's why I put this in the lineup. But go ahead.
yeah, so tell me a little bit more about Arc Labs. Arc
Well,
Labs,
it says
programmable payments to the Bitcoin network.
the backing formed part of a 5.2 million funding round for the startup, a system that aims to allow faster transaction application building on top of Bitcoin with a new funding. All right. The project focuses on making Bitcoin usable for payments and financial tools that often require faster settlement and automation. Arcade acts as an execution layer that developers can use to build services such as payment networks. That's what you're doing right now.
Yep.
Lending tools and digital asset platforms. Bitcoin is the most liquid digital asset in the world, but it has lacked the programmable infrastructure that financial applications require, said Marco. Tether said the funding will help expand infrastructure that could support stablecoins on Bitcoin. Stablecoins are digital tokens pegged to fiat. We know what they are. Stablecoins were born on Bitcoin, and expanding access on the Bitcoin network remains a priority for us, the Tether CEO says. The investment is part of Tether's effort to expand beyond its stablecoin issuance routes and enhance the use of its 185 billion digital dollar token USDT. Last month, the firm invested in online marketplace Swap and cross-chain protocol Layer Zero. All right.
Yeah, so here, this is actually really, really cool. But you've got to understand Lightning first. So to understand what these guys are building, they're basically building like their own custom Lightning network. And anyone could build, layer two solutions on top of Bitcoin. You really just need some deep pockets to be able to, bootstrap liquidity so people can actually use it. But
Do
the
we,
pro-
do we want to
Mhm.
watch this video? It's like a minute long.
Yeah, I do actually. So who is this guy? Edelman? He's the so
Actually,
he
hold on. This might let's make sure it's because it says this might not be. It says Edelman dismisses the quantum threat to Bitcoin. Go ahead and finish your thought because I mean this is talking about Bitcoin, but it's talking about the quantum threat. So go ahead and finish your thought, and then we'll watch this.
okay. So that was really funny, man, because I'm actually working right now, Mike, in Cursor and getting the live stream to run on the website.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just got it to work on my dev server here, and so I could hear myself in the background as you
I
were
hate
speaking
that.
for a second there. Yeah,
I hate that.
it makes sense of what's going on. But so is this Edelman? Is he the founder or CEO of? I guess it's called Arc Labs.
Are you talking about the guy in the video?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just says Edelman dismisses the quantum threat to Bitcoin. So it's a little it's on the Bitcoin topic, but it's not on the stablecoin aspect that we're talking about now. So that's why I was wanting you to finish your thought on the Lightning Network and kind of building on the Lightning Network and needing to have deep pockets before you moved on to this.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So, I'm looking over here on Gemini as you're speaking there, Mike. And so this guy's name, Rick Edelman. He's a contributor to CNBC and Bloomberg, stuff like that. He's a big proponent of Bitcoin, and he does appear on the Ark Invest podcast. That's Kathy Wood's firm. So Edelman is more of like a financial pundit or financial advisor type, but that Arc Labs, what they're actually building is basically exactly what I started building with DeFi Dawn. Like
Yeah.
that's what they're building, except it looks like maybe not quite as good, because they're building it out like on a parallel layer two that they call Arcade, whereas we are building on Lightning, which already has liquidity. So you know their protocol is very, very cool, but here's the big problem with this. All of that stuff lives off chain. So here, let me just remove Edelman for a second and add this so that we can just talk through this for just a moment, because this is really where the future of sovereign DeFi is going to live. It's going to be on Bitcoin. That's where the real sovereign DeFi is, because you can't censor private keys. But here's the big problem with this, though. So you, when you're working on building on Lightning, this stuff is all off chain. So here, let me just go ahead and scroll up here. What you're looking to do here is you're looking to build your off chain programmable stack. Um, and the problem with that is you've got everything living off chain on your nodes, on your stack. And so if your client state goes offline or your nodes go offline and you haven't backed them up, you know what happens to client funds? They vanish, poof, gone.
Mhm.
There's nothing on like a smart contract. There's nothing like that. It lives on the client state on top of your edge nodes. So whether you're building something like Arcade that these guys at Arc Labs are building, or you're
Mhm.
building on top of Lightning, it all comes down to your stack, your edge nodes, your client state, and all the logic that you've built on top of that. So that requires constant uptime, because the way that this stuff works on Bitcoin Lightning is your edge nodes and your client are going to be the only client and nodes that can actually see these types of transactions, that can actually see these types of UTXOs, or in the case of Arc, it's virtual UTXOs.
Mm.
So they're the only ones that can see it. So that means that if you're holding, dollars on Lightning or dollars on Arcade, and then the Arcade servers go down or the nodes go down, well, your money vanishes. Poof, gone. So it's slightly different. The risk profile is slightly different, but it enables these amazing use cases, because you can suddenly, because the payments are basically free and instant. So that means that you can pay for stuff by the second. You can have streaming payments through these open channels, which is really amazing.
All right.
Um, yep.
So we got about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure we get to all these news articles. But you know what? I'm not going to play this. I mean, it's only a minute long, but honestly, this quantum threat, I think it's a nothing. I don't, because if quantum computing ends up being a threat to Bitcoin, it's a threat to everything. It's a threat to banking. It's a threat to your bank account. It's a threat to your medical records. It's a threat to everything. So it's kind of a moot point. I mean, there's no point into talking about the threat of quantum to crypto. It's just everything is at risk. If
Well, yeah,
quantum,
but they're going to harden. They're going to harden Bitcoin. They're going to harden
I,
all of the
I'm sure
encryption,
I'm sure
everything.
they are, but it's just everyone wants to harp on quantum and crypto, and they just no one talks about the fact that if that's at risk, everything else is at way more risk. So
You know what it
it's just
reminds me of, Mike? It
it's
reminds
clickbait.
me of the World 2K or the Y2K stuff
That's
in
exactly
2000. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Yeah. And what ended
all
up
right.
happening with that? It was a big nothing burger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
What's
So
next?
next up, that's just Bitcoin price. So here's a couple of headlines. Bitcoin futures volume on Binance are now five. Here, let's do this real quick. There we go. Bitcoin futures volume on Binance now 5x spot trading, reflecting evolving market structure and hedging demand.
Yeah, the thing for me about Binance is that there's usually a lot of Bitcoin for sale on Binance each day. So, how much BTC is for sale on average each day on Binance? That's really the thing that is so interesting to me, is that even with all of this buying pressure, all of this demand, there's still so much BTC for sale each day. So they're talking about maybe 60 million USDT worth of Bitcoin being sold just in the spot market.
Mhm.
So you've got to, so you've really got to think to yourself though, um, how much more is being traded through futures compared to spot?
Yeah.
And when it's traded using leverage, when you're trading futures, the vast majority of traders, they are trading with crazy leverage when they're trading on Binance. So that means you can, if you're the exchange and you control the liquidity and
Mhm.
you're the market maker also, you can push that price around a little bit, or maybe a lot of it. So that's why you got to be just so careful when you're trading on a perp dex or on a perpetual futures exchange,
Mhm.
because that market maker could actually move the price against you in order to hunt your stops and just keep everything. That it's basically a big casino, man. So you've got to be super careful.
Well, you can watch there's websites you can see the heat map where the liquidity is stacked, and you can watch it ping pong back and forth like you're talking about. They push the price to basically liquidate people and just suck that liquidity out of the market.
Yep,
They
yep.
they do it constantly. All right.
Constantly. I think that's from Glassnode, actually. You can see that if you go to
I
like,
believe so.
yeah,
I believe so. And if you want to pull that up, and I mean, by all means. Um,
gotcha.
no major DeFi exploits have been reported in the last 24 hours. Developer commits, however, across chains are down 75% as talent shifts to AI. That is actually a decent news headline that if you have developers that are, because of the markets in crypto, they're shifting over to AI because that's where the focus is and where the money is right now. So, that's going to
Yeah.
slow things down as far as, the development of a lot of these networks.
I got to agree because I built, a protocol on Ethereum. And so I was testing that on Sepolia. And then I started building on Lightning and built a private custodial wallet on Lightning. And now I'm just thinking about, well, how can I spin up these OpenClaw agents on Google Cloud infrastructure to actually manage these businesses, the
Yeah,
Node, DeFi University,
freaking
anything I
excited
could
as
dream
hell for
up.
that. I'm not going to
It's
lie.
Bro, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And so basically it's my focus has gone from, building on Ethereum to building on Lightning and now to building using AI agents that it can actually do stuff for me in real life. So yeah, I totally agree. But here's the thing. I'm starting to I'm getting to this point now where I want the agents to begin working for me to build out the projects that I already started on Ethereum and Lightning. So I'm just going to use AI to help speed that development process. Because I got to say,
Absolutely.
Mike, like wiring up the smart contracts when you build an Ethereum protocol, that can be very, very time consuming, very tedious. If you can imagine in each of these contracts, you might have 25 contracts in a protocol, and each one needs to be talking to the exact right point in the other. There can't be any, bugs, and then you've got to get everything audited. Well, what if I can just use AI to do that entire process? Where I come up with the idea for the protocol, I write the contracts, I build the protocol, and then I have AI stitch it all together. That's the next step, man.
Awesome. Well, hey, Jeff, I know you're listening. Yeah, jump on. Just go ahead and just
Ah, there he is.
wait in the wings for a second. I'm gonna burn through because we only got about 7 minutes left. I'm gonna burn through the rest of these headlines, and then we'll talk about that OP net. All right. So in TradFi, the SEC and CFTC end years of rivalry with deal that will mean combined crypto oversight. That's big news. Wells Fargo signals deeper push into crypto, filing a trademark for WFUSD. So it looks like Wells Fargo is launching their own stablecoin.
See
Thanks.
that? They're all going to do that, man.
Yep.
All of them.
Circle's outperformance.
Wait, hold on a second, Mike. You said it was WFUSD?
Yeah.
Dude, they're
Wells Fargo USD.
fuck USD.
Circle's outperformance highlights USDC's staying power amid
Mm.
institutional infrastructure demand. And the macro looks like February CPI rose 0.3% for the past month and 2.4 year over year. Oil surges back above $100 on Iran war escalation.
Yep.
Post CPI stability keeps Fed rates cut odds low. 10-year Treasury yield steady around 4.23 despite geopolitical volatility. Bitcoin accumulation trend score drops as smaller wallets sell, contrasting whale stability near 70K. Options traders betting on BTC reclaiming 80K despite current caution. Bitcoin's next leg increasingly macro dependent per Bitfinex analysts. Um, and then that's what we got. Do you have any comments on any of those headlines before we bounce over to Jeff and the OPNet?
Yeah, I think that the important thing to watch right now is crude oil. That's the important thing to watch because that conflict in the Middle East, if crude continues to pop, I think that will drag the rest of equities lower for sure. So that's the thing to watch, in my opinion. Jeff, there's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon.
All right.
Afternoon.
Well, we are now transitioning from our news segment over to our guest spot. Those that don't know Jeff, he is my co-host on Crypto and Chill, and a fellow owner of the node. So you have been doing some deep dives into OPNet and also showing people how to farm a potential token generation event that's about to happen. I believe that you said on the 15th when I watched your video.
The 17th.
17th.
Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 5 days. So tell us a little bit about this project, because I know that you wanted to talk to David about it, because as involved as he is and Don is with developing on the Bitcoin mainnet and a lot of the stuff that they're doing on Lightning and Noster and things like that they're integrating into our the Node.pro website. This is interesting, and so go ahead and start picking his brain on some of the questions that you have.
Yeah, so basically it's enabling smart contract functionality and DeFi on Bitcoin layer 1 without modifying or forking the base protocol. And they have an exchange that they built out, and we've been testing it for the past better part of a year now. And OPNet's had campaigns where you create your own token pools, adding liquidity to those pools. So all the things, exchanging, so swapping tokens. They have their own stablecoin. It's the OP20 standard, like the ERC20. And I'll also show, and they just announced yesterday that they raised $5 million to build. Let me share my screen here.
That's what I'm doing right now, is trying to add to.
So you guys, all of these, Lightning or Bitcoin startups that are raising 7 figures, well, take a look at mybankbtc.xyz, because what we built is very, very similar to this OPNet product.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really interested to just find out if it's even worth the time, and if it's got any, good functionality that people might use. Because there's not been a lot of stuff on Bitcoin being built besides, hearing from you about Noster and Lightning and the use case and utility you've been able to capture from it. Here. Let's see.
So check this out, Jeff. They've for pools, dexes, and liquidity mechanisms on OPNet. So this is so cool, because it's great to see that OPNet built this, because me and Don in a week built the same thing. So it's called Moto Swap. So OPNet, they've got their thing, Moto Swap. What can you tell us about Moto Swap? I'm curious.
So here, I've actually got it pulled up. Let me add my screen.
Dude, look at that.
So this is Moto Swap.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I've got my wallet connected, URL? And they have their motoswap.org.
Motoswap.org. Awesome, man.
Yeah. And they have this right here called the DeFiBible.org, and they dive into all the documents and stuff on why. And I know you were saying, Bitcoin's slow and expensive. And their kind of thesis was the SlowFi thesis, and how DeFi summer happened on a slow chain with Ethereum back in 2020. And they think the problem was actually the solution. So the SlowFi thesis was it's not better tokenomics, it's exit friction. When money takes longer to leave than to enter, protocols compound upward for months instead of days.
So Jeff, what's the URL for this Bitcoin DeFi Bible? Because I love the name of it already. What's the URL here?
DeFiBible.org.
Dude, really? That's fucking great. DeFiBible.org. Amazing.
Yeah, so this is Moto Swap. You have your trades right here. You can swap and you can send to an address. And their their token, their stable token is the orange pill. And there's the Moto swap, and you can swap. Right now, it's using RBTC, the Reg Test, Bitcoin testnet.
So they built it on RGB.
And they're claiming it's post-quantum secure with ML-DSA signing built in.
Okay, well, that's definitely a good thing. The thing that we built is basically identical to this, except it's on Lightning, not on OPNet, it's private. So I'm curious: does OPNet allow for like blinded tokens or like real true privacy?
I actually don't know that extent. Let's find out. Let's see.
Just ask AI.
So here, check this out, you guys. We can find out because I already built a bunch of research on OPNet, and I threw it into Notebook LM, and so I've actually got it. So you see Jeff on the stage there. So let me add this one. So check this out, you guys. We can now ask any question of this and learn about it. We can do some layering. So check this out. Here we go. Yeah, check this out. So what do you want to learn? What I want to learn about is, can we build something, or is OPNet private? Basically, I want to know that. Is there privacy built in? Is there privacy built in to OPNet? That's what I want to know about, because what we built is private from the get-go. Like, hit the gate, it's already private. And let's see what it says about OPNet. So it says, no, OPNet does not have built-in privacy for its transactions or smart contracts. Every state transition, contract deployment, and function call is recorded as compressed witness data directly on the public Bitcoin blockchain. So it says, because the network must maintain a global objective state across thousands of nodes, every single node operator is required to execute every transaction to ensure consensus. So it says that the OPNet architecture,
Hold on real quick. We got Colin. He'll be on the show tonight, the Red Pill, but he's in the chat. He says, that's why it's slow. Module lattice signing is slower right now. It uses rejection signing or sampling, sorry. It can take multiple attempts before you get a valid signature with ML-DSA.
Gotcha. Okay. So the way that we solved for privacy is using Chami and eCash, blinded bearer tokens on our, so oh man, I got my cursor's working in the background and it's fixing the live streaming right now. So I just heard myself in the background for a split second there. And
I hate that. It always throws me off.
Completely throws me off, man. So yeah, the way that we solve for privacy is with Chami and eCash. And the beauty of doing that is you just run it on your client. Your client state running on your own edge nodes means that you can blind yourself to the transactions flowing through your nodes. So we use PTLCs and Chami and eCash to blind ourselves as the node operators to the transactions flowing through our own nodes. So that means that if you hold assets in the MyBank Bitcoin private custodial wallet, that means that we, the node operators, have no idea what you hold. Can't know. So that type of privacy is something that you don't really see anywhere else.
What does that look like when it's published on the blockchain, like your Explorer, like your
It looks like just a normal Lightning transaction or a normal Bitcoin transaction. And so basically the eCash is like a blinded poker chip. So when a client or a customer deposits assets into the MyBank Bitcoin private custodial Lightning wallet, they essentially get like minted these eCash tokens, which are blinded bearer tokens. And so they get minted these blinded tokens, and that means that we have no idea what the customers or the clients are actually holding. So that's pretty darn cool. Yeah.
When you can't like click on their wallet in the Explorer tab and actually see what their assets are. It just kind of
no, and also it's completely private. And the PTLCs, these point time lock contracts, they essentially make it such that as your transaction hops from node to node, the nodes have no idea where it came from, but they know where it's going. So you can't like link transactions together to dox an individual. So it's the combination of the PTLCs plus the Chaumy and eCash that really creates true privacy. And then it was so cool, Jeff. So you're sharing about OPNet. That Moto swap, that's so cool, man, because we built an AMM. So like last weekend, basically, like over the weekend, dude, like built an AMM. And it looks pretty similar to this, a little bit more complex, but pretty darn similar, man.
Yeah.
So tell me,
you can deploy.
What can you do? Yeah, what can you do with this?
So
hey, if you guys want to bring something up, let me know. It gets confusing if three of us are trying to control what's being displayed. We start battling over things. So yeah, let me run the sticks. Just let me know what you want to bring up.
Gotcha. Yeah. So here at the tab, you got trade. You can trade tokens. You got your pools, liquidity pools. You can add liquidity, create a pool. You can stake your tokens. There's the Explorer tab and your portfolio. So deploy, you can deploy your own token, and yield farm, and you can burn tokens as well. So, swapping, let me just swap some orange pill with a Moto swap token.
So Jeff, I got a question for you real quick. Is this all on is this on a test net?
Yeah. They just recently moved everything to the OPNet test net from the Reg test. Yeah. Okay. So this goes live next Tuesday, and if you're swapping Bitcoin natively, see, it moves pretty quick.
Now, which wallet are you using, Jeff?
You can use the Unistat wallet, or OPNet has their own wallet that they built out. So this is the OPNet wallet, and you can import your seed phrase if you have a Bitcoin wallet. If you don't want to, if you want to create a new one, just to feel safe.
Jeff has 0.128 Bitcoin.
Hell yeah.
Testnet Bitcoin.
That's not neither here nor there.
But what they do have this interesting feature. So I'm going to swap some Bitcoin for Moto, and they do have a minimum of like 0.0005 on the testnet. I don't know if, or 50,000 sats. So they have this interesting feature called this reorganization protection. So it protects funds during blockchain reorganizations, and you can select it to execute a swap after 1 block, 2 blocks, and 3 blocks. And they go into that more on the DeFi Bible. I don't remember where it's at, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So it could take anywhere from 1 block to 3 blocks. I think it's like a MEV protection type thing. So that's a feature really I've never really seen.
That's really cool, man. They basically, they just built out their own custom AMM. Now, what about liquidity provision? Can you actually provide liquidity here? Is that what you're showing, Jeff?
Yeah, right here, liquidity pools. And they had you in one of the campaigns, they had you create your own token and your own liquidity pool right here. So I had to create mine and add it with a pill token and create my own pool and add liquidity to it. And
now here's the problem with this, you guys. They're building on the wrong stack. That's the problem. They're building on the wrong stack. They're building on RGB, and they're like building their own side chain like client on RGB, when really they need to be not using RGB. That's
it was on Signet to start, and then they moved to the Reg test, and then the OPNet.
Colin's going off in the arena chat.
What's he saying?
Dude, what is he not saying? It
Oh,
says
great. I got to see
orders of
that.
magnitude more complex. However, it looks like the problem isn't with signing, it's with validate. ECDSA has higher signing requirements but lower validation, but MLDSA has really high validation. In blockchain and cryptocurrency systems, validation or verification costs are generally more important than signing costs. Every validator miner must verify every signature to ensure a transaction is legitimate. If validation is slow or expensive, like in basic BLS schemes, it bottlenecks the entire network's capacity. So that's why it's slower. So yeah, those that don't know, Colin was one of the original people at Avalanche. He's going to be on tomorrow's show, and quite often him and David start like going like really deep on things, and it's a struggle for me to get them to pump the brakes and actually explain what they're talking about. So it gets very high level very quickly. So
Yeah. So
have your AI ready tomorrow to look up what it is that they're saying.
I'm right now. I'm just reading through. So Colin's just saying that's why it's slower at a very low level. So here's the thing, though, man. Like when you build on top of Lightning, you've basically got a choice between like one of three different stacks that are already built out that you can build on top of. But you can make this stuff basically instantaneous and basically free. So I think that I'm really looking forward to tonight, where Colin and I hopefully can go back and forth for just a couple of minutes. I don't want to
Right.
bog everyone down with this, but
I'm just gonna get a drink and just sit back and laugh at you two going off for like
oh no,
3
it'll be great.
hours.
It'll be great. Because what these guys at MotoSwap built, like, dude, DeFi Don built this over the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, pretty cool. Except except that his it's private. It's completely private.
Yeah.
So it's privacy baked in from the get-go. So really cool stuff.
No, we could definitely
probably raise some serious money
tonight.
off of that, man.
Yes, and that's the whole point. That is the whole point. I mean, if you take a look here, let me share this with you guys. Oh, and by the way, I got the website working as we were chatting here. I did get the website working, so it is now streaming, and it should continue. It's still fixing up the last couple of things, but the stream is now live on the website, on the production website. So that's pretty cool. There it is. Look at that, right? So that's
so hold on a second, because I'm gonna hear our voices.
Means that you can blind yourself to the transactions flowing through your nodes. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, so we're live.
That's badass. So now I've just got to get the chats working. I don't know if Arena has like an API to pull the chats or not, but
I've been pinging Colin and Jason, the owner, about that, and they said that I guess they're working on it. Colin, maybe you can give us an update on that in the chat. As far as an API for the chat, so that we can unify that. Yeah. He says, dude, don't get me started on the chat APIs. No idea what's taking so long.
Yeah. All right. Need that. But here, I want to just share this with you guys just real quick. So this is my bank BTC, and this is mybankbtc.xyz. So this is just like the pitch. This is like the slide deck, like the pitch deck right here. Mm-hmm. So this is the pitch deck for the privacy first. It's basically a stack that we built, but it's also a private Lightning custodial wallet. And that wallet is actually, as of right now, on Signet. And so I can share with you the wallet here on Signet. This is the wallet. If I just go ahead and show you, I got big old 10,000 Signet sats in my wallet here. Now, if I just log out, this is what it looks like right now. And I just wanted to make this super, super basic so that, you can log in using your Lightning wallet, or log in with a URL on Lightning, or maybe you can log in using, any of these Lightning wallets that many people use, many node operators use. Or if you just want to keep it super simple, you can create an account using an email address. So that, because remember, when you create an account here, what you're actually doing is you are creating a key pair, because this is a private custodial wallet. So when you make an account, you're creating a key pair, and by creating a key pair, you don't actually own those keys. You only have the public key. You don't own the private key. So when you deposit assets on here and you make them private with that Chaumian eCash working behind the scenes, you don't actually own it. This is custodial. So you've got to understand that this is a custodial wallet, but it's private.
Is that like a Gnosis safe type?
It's much more like Wallet of Satoshi than Gnosis. It's basically a private wallet of Satoshi. And now here's the thing. When you're building one of these wallets on Lightning, you need liquidity. That's what you need. You need liquidity. Respect to liquidity. That's what you need, man, because otherwise you can't open channels. And if you can't open channels, then you can't send and receive Lightning payments, Satoshis instantly and basically for free. So you need the channels open first. And the weird thing about Lightning is that all the liquidity, it has basically like aggregated around about a dozen nodes. So there are these really big nodes. It's this hub and spoke model, really big nodes in the center. And then you just connect. You connect to those nodes. They become your peers. So you can essentially bootstrap liquidity that way. But another really cool thing about Lightning is it's basically got like built-in leverage. There's leverage, structural leverage inherent in the Lightning network itself because of the way that those channels work. So the channels require inbound and outbound liquidity to be able to actually send payments. But the velocity of the payments going through those channels creates structural leverage of about 3x. And so what that means is for every 1 BTC you've got on your edge node, you actually have like 3 BTC of payment capacity. And so that payment capacity is leverage. That is structural leverage. And so here's something really cool to think about. You've got all that structural leverage on Lightning. What happens when you launch an AMM minting your own, basically private tokens? Let's say that you want to launch, a private US dollar or a private Japanese yen or a private euro or whatever, and you want to mint that against your Satoshis. You can do that privately on this client, on this AMM, but you can essentially create free money out of thin air because of the velocity of payments on Lightning. That's essentially what I think you're able to do on Lightning. So pretty darn interesting. Here's the big problem though. Here's the big problem. You are the client. Your client and your nodes must be running on the same compute. And if that client state is lost, or your nodes all go down, or that happens at the same time, and you don't have backups, then poof, you just lost all your customers' money. So you got to really make sure you've got the infrastructure set up right. And that's why, the other couple, I think there's like 2 or 3 other projects like this. So the one that we built is just called My Bank BTC. OPNet built this too. And then Mike, we were taking a look at Arcade. With Arc Labs, they built one too. So the 3 of us were all building on different stacks. So, what we built at My Bank BTC is basically like a custom stack on top of Lightning. It looks like Arc, they built Arcade, which is its own layer 2, competing with Lightning. And then it looks like OPNet is just trying to build like private contracts on top of Bitcoin, which looks like they're building their own layer 2, like competing with Lightning. So we decided rather than like build a layer 2 and try to compete with Lightning, why don't we just build something private on top of Lightning? And so that's what we did. We built something private on top of Lightning. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And if you guys want to, I've got some more content about OPNet. Oh, but look at that. Is that Arcade, Mike? Is that Arcade?
I believe so. I wanted to take a look at it since
I don't know. Doesn't it? It starts with a K, right? ARKADE, I think,
All
or
right.
was it with a C? I don't know
No,
if that's
I,
the
I, I think it was a K. Let's try
yeah.
that. Arcade BTC.
Yeah, so it's tell me about Arc Labs Arcade BTC product. Okay,
Operating
so
system,
yeah, so they call it an
programmability.
application layer. It's just basically like a layer 2 competing with Lightning. So
Yeah.
I'm just asking for a link to that.
Oh, this is Arcadios. So Alpha Romeo Kilo Alpha Delta Echo Oscar Sierra.com.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. I'm looking at it right now, and I see. So are you. Yeah, this is cool. This is cool.
So no, let's go ahead and jump into the education portion because we got about 40 minutes left. So let's jump into the education portion.
Okay, education. Check this out. All right, let's lear about some OPNet because this is super cool, man. This is super cool. Let me see if I can get this to open up properly. All right,
Lear it to me now.
You want to lear it? All right, let's check it out. Let me know if you guys can hear this or not.
For, well, over a decade now, the story of Bitcoin has been pretty simple. It's digital gold. You buy it, you hold it, and that's kind of the whole point. But a new project called OPNet is trying to totally rewrite that script. They have this radical idea to turn Bitcoin from a sleepy, passive asset into a full-blown, dynamic, programmable financial
Okay, I just want to make sure
engine.
it's playing properly.
So let's dive into this wild new vision for Bitcoin's future. Okay, let's be real. We all think of Bitcoin as this unshakable fortress, right? The most secure network on the entire planet. But what if that security model has a hidden, fatal flaw? What if Bitcoin is actually marching towards an economic crisis that could threaten its very existence? That's the huge, provocative question that OPNet is built around. So to really get what OP_net is all about, we first have to understand the problem they're trying to solve. And believe me, it's a big one. It's all about the long-term security budget of the Bitcoin network itself. Think of it this way. Bitcoin's security doesn't just happen by magic. It's incredibly expensive. It's paid for by giving huge rewards to the miners who are constantly working to process transactions and keep the network safe. For years, most of this payment has come from a massive, pre-programmed block subsidy. Basically, brand new Bitcoin being created out of thin air with every single block. But here's the catch. And as you can see on this chart, it's a big one. That subsidy gets sliced in half about every 4 years. We all know it as the halving. And over time, it's trending towards zero. Eventually, it's going to be so small, it's basically nothing. So when that day comes, the only thing left to pay the miners will be transaction fees. And if there aren't enough fees, well, the security of the entire network could be in real trouble. The founders of OPNet, well, they put it pretty bluntly. This whole digital gold idea, where everyone just buys Bitcoin and locks it away in cold storage, they say it's actually a threat. It creates this super quiet network with very few transactions, which means it doesn't generate nearly enough fee revenue to pay for its own security down the road.
Right, so they're absolutely right about this. And this is something that I've been talking about for months now. Just how the Bitcoin miner business model kind of sucks. And what happens if there aren't enough transactions. Well, the mainnet could starve, but I don't know that the solution is what OPNet is proposing.
So how do you fix that? So what's the solution then? This is where OP_net steps in with a completely different idea. They're proposing a new paradigm, not as some separate chain, but as a new layer of intelligence built right on top of Bitcoin itself. And this is the core idea. OPNet is designed to let complex smart contracts, the kind of stuff you see on Ethereum all the time, run directly on Bitcoin's main layer, on layer 1. But here's the really crucial part. It does this without a hard fork. That means it doesn't require a single change to Bitcoin's core software. It's built to work with Bitcoin exactly as it is right now. So how in the world do they pull this off? The tech is called an indexer embedded virtual machine, which I know sounds super complicated. But the easiest way to think about it is like putting on a special pair of glasses. A whole network of OP_net nodes wears these glasses while they look at the Bitcoin blockchain. They see all the normal transactions, sure, but they can also spot these special hidden messages that tell them to fire up powerful applications. Okay, so that's the high-level concept. But how does this actually work in practice? How do you cram a command for a smart contract into a totally normal Bitcoin transaction? Well, the process is surprisingly elegant. It really just boils down to three simple steps. First, you create a regular Bitcoin transaction, but you sneak in a tiny piece of data, a little tag that says BSI for Bitcoin Smart Inscription. Step two, the OPNET nodes are scanning the blockchain 24/7 and they see that tag. They immediately know, hey, this one's for us. They read the data and deliver it to the right smart contract, which kind of acts like a public mailbox. And finally, the brain of the whole system, the OPNET virtual machine, just executes the command.
Right. So the big problem with all this stuff, or at least a risk, is that this is running on their client side stuff. Like whatever their logic is, whatever their client is that's running this software, if that client goes down, or if their edge nodes don't work, or if they get hacked, if their logic gets hacked in some way, what happens to user funds? User
Mm.
funds, could just go poof and vanish, because the only way to actually understand these transactions is if you're the client reading them. So there are some big problems with this. You've got to have some robust hardware.
Now, you might be wondering, how do you make sure all these different nodes agree on what the applications are doing? OPNNet uses this cool two-step consensus process. The first part is called proof of calculation. Because the whole system is deterministic, every honest node that processes the same transactions will mathematically get the exact same result. It's like everyone's solving the same math problem. Then in step two, a special type of proof of work lets network miners act as witnesses, competing to be the first to cryptographically seal and confirm that result for everyone. Okay, so with this powerful engine now in place, what can you actually build? This is where things get really interesting and where Bitcoin could go from being just a currency to a full-fledged financial platform. Right out of the gate, OP_net brings in token standards that look a lot like what made Ethereum so famous. You've got OP_20, which lets people create fungible tokens.
Oh, it says underscore.
Or reward points. And then there's OP_721, which opens the door for NFTs and tokenizing real-world assets, all settling directly on the Bitcoin blockchain. And it's not just a theory. A whole ecosystem is already starting to bubble up around this idea. We're already seeing projects like MotoSwap, which is a decentralized exchange, Stash for lending and stablecoins, and even launchpads for new projects. All these tools are designed to do one thing: make Bitcoin an active, productive asset.
Now,
But maybe one of
so here's the thing, though. My understanding is that all of these dApps, like this is real, true DeFi, um, if it's on Lightning, I think. But all of these dApps, these DeFi dApps on OPNet, I think they've got to be built on top of the edge nodes and whatever the client is that's running on those edge nodes. So you've got to think of this as a stack. You've got the edge nodes at the base layer. You've got whatever that client is running on those edge nodes that can see and understand these special types of transactions or UTXOs or whatever the hell they are. And then on top of that, you've got, oh my God, I can hear myself in the background.
You started hearing your own voice?
Yeah, I can hear myself.
They show
in
the
the background.
stack in the DeFi Bible, OPNet overview. They got state consensus at the bottom with deterministic state root. And then the middle, OPNet nodes, execution layer, WASM smart contract runtime, and then Bitcoin layer 1 data availability layer on the top.
There we go. Oh my God. Now I can't hear myself anymore. That was horrible, dude. I couldn't think. You can't think when you got the stream coming from two different places into your headphones. Yeah. So if you've got all of this stuff right here, it's a stack. And at the bottom of the stack, you've got the edge nodes. And then you've got on top of that, your client. And then on top of that, you've got something like MotoSwap, or you've got something like the marketplace that they're talking about, or you've got the launch pad. So since this stuff is all built on top of their own stack, what happens if something goes wrong with their edge nodes? What happens if something goes wrong with their client? What happens if they don't properly back up their client state? Or what happens if their client gets hacked? you know, like, yeah, because the only nodes that can actually process this stuff are their nodes. You can't take for granted that, the other nodes are not going to be running their software. So if they're not right, if the other nodes are not running their client stuff, then they can't see these transactions. They can't see these virtual UTXOs in the case of Arcade. They can't see the OPNet contracts. So that means these assets live only on this little ecosystem. So that's a big, big risk here, I think.
Bitcoin an active, productive asset. But maybe one of the wildest, most groundbreaking.
Yeah, so I would love Chad to please correct me, man. Like, I'm learning this. And so I see in the chat, you guys see in the chat that it says
Yeah.
appreciate the coverage, but getting pieces of it incorrect. Awesome. So I'm happy that you're saying that. Please, tell me what I'm wrong about so that I can
Absolutely.
learn this better. That's what I want for sure. Because I am by no means an expert in this. Like, I'm just a guy who likes to build stuff,
Well, basically, I
Looks
want
like
to
he's the co-founder of OPNet and MotoSwap.
Well, I want to
Really?
emphasize what we're about here on this
That's
channel.
awesome.
Can you guys hear me, or is my
Yeah,
my?
no, I can hear you, Mike.
No, I want to stress something, and I'm glad Chad said something. I mean, we want to stress something here. We're putting out information, but we're not going to get everything right all the time. We want you to be in the chat, and that's why we encourage you in the chat to call us out. But one thing I will ask is that don't just say you're wrong. Tell us how we're wrong, and tell us where to go for some sort of data or some sort of backing that shows what it is we're getting wrong, because we want to make sure we're giving good content, but just simply saying that we're wrong doesn't help you, it doesn't help the other viewers, it doesn't help us.
I mean, I think what Chad said is great, man. I would love to have him jump on a call, maybe tomorrow, and put me in my place, man.
Colin's going to be on tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
tell me more about OPNet. I want to.
Well, we can jump on a private call and get to know him, and make sure that the content's going to be worthwhile before we actually bring him on the show. But I definitely I don't just want to randomly bring people on, because you never know who you're going to get that way.
Well, I mean, if Chad's one of the one of the devs over here at OPNet, man, I would love to talk to him live.
Oh, if he's a dev, absolutely. But I mean, I just don't want to just bring random people on from the chat. You can get some interesting folks. You can get some interesting folks.
As long as he's the real deal and he's actually one of the devs at OPNet, bro, I'm all for it, man.
Oh yeah. Hey Chad, follow the Node channel at the Node channel on X, and I'll shoot you a DM and we'll get something set up, brother.
Awesome, man. Let's leer some more about OPNet.
Ideas here is something they call proof of HODL. Now, this is totally different from traditional staking, where you have to lock up your coins and give custody to someone else. Here, the system simply verifies that a specific piece of Bitcoin in your wallet hasn't moved. That's it. If you haven't touched it, you get rewards. It's a way to earn yield with basically zero risk, and you never ever lose custody of your Bitcoin. But, and this is a big but, all this incredible new...
So what exactly do you earn? Here's the thing though, if you're not really staking your Bitcoin, you're not locking it, I don't think. So, and what are the rewards then? Because it's not like you can mint new Satoshis. So that must mean the rewards are UTXOs themselves, right? So if the rewards are UTXOs, then that means the rewards could be anything you want them to be. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, the staking, real quick, the staking tab, you can stake Moto, which is the native token of MotoSwap, and you stake Moto and you can claim rewards from that pool. It depends on, I guess, what they set up as their rewards. Yeah, with each swap of MotoSwap, a portion of the swap fee is locked into the staking contract. Stake your Moto here and earn rewards.
Got it. Okay. So if you're staking your Moto, but your Moto is a UTXO, then you're basically able to create more UTXOs, I think. Is that how this works? So he's saying it's
Oh no,
single-stored liquidity farming a la Sushi Swap. Okay. This is pretty cool, man.
Zero risk, and you never ever lose custody of your Bitcoin. But, and this is a big but, all this incredible new capability doesn't come for free. It really forces a fundamental debate about what Bitcoin is and what it should be. This is the great trade-off at the very heart of this project. And when you look at this table, you can see just how different OPNet's choices are compared to other projects trying to add features to Bitcoin. Unlike Stacks or RSK, it uses native Bitcoin for gas fees, not some other token. And unlike a system like RGB, it maintains a global state, which is what lets you build things like a decentralized exchange.
So that's why, so RGB, that's why the other guys, this is OPNet, the other guys are Arcade. So that's why, I'm not too excited about Arcade because I don't really like RGB.
It's definitely carving its own unique and, you could say, controversial path. And this brings us right to the central argument. On one side, you have the supporters who say OPNet is the answer. It finally solves the security budget crisis by creating a flood of complex transactions that will generate the fees needed to secure Bitcoin forever. But on the other side, you have critics who argue that embedding all this application data permanently bloats the Bitcoin blockchain with what they see as junk.
So that's a valid point, but does it actually create bloat? Is that really what this is? Does it create bloat on mainnet? I don't know. But what I do know is that mainnet needs more transaction volume. It really does.
yeah.
Financial information.
Oh, so you see what he's saying? These tokens aren't UTXO based. They're account based smart contract assets on BTC. Can you, can one of you guys ask Chad in the chat if this is custodial or whether it's, yeah, so is, so yeah, so of course, fucking retard. So he's saying that it doesn't create bloat unlike ordinals, but is it custodial? Like these tokens, are they custodial or not?
For its creators, the goal is nothing short of revolutionary.
Wow.
I mean, listen to this quote. They imagine a future
Awesome.
where Bitcoin isn't just something you hold,
Love it, dude.
but it's the base settlement layer for a global financial system, the most secure, most decentralized foundation for the entire crypto universe. So that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is turning Bitcoin into this hyperactive, busy application platform the necessary evolution it needs to guarantee its survival for the next 100 years? Or is it a fundamental betrayal of that simple, elegant vision of digital gold that made Bitcoin so special in the first place?
No, it's not a betrayal of the original vision at all. This is like the natural evolution. This is where Bitcoin needs to go. Like we need volume on the mainnet, otherwise it dies. Like, if we're being completely honest, like if the miners aren't incentivized to keep their machines on, then they turn them off.
Well,
Dude, that was my biggest concern.
but let's
too.
drill into that a little bit and explain why that is, because kind of as halvings occur and in the cost of energy and the effect that has. I mean, if you could expound on that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, here's the problem. If you are a Bitcoin miner, you've got a lot of startup expenses. Number one, you've got to buy all the machines, all the ASICs to be able to mine the Bitcoin in the first place, validate transactions. So that's a big startup
Upgrading those
expense.
machines.
Exactly.
over
You got to
time.
refresh them. And then your biggest expense after you buy the hardware is going to be powering the damn things. And they are hungry. They eat a lot of juice, a lot of electricity. And that electricity, depending on where you live, can be prohibitively expensive. So that means unless you've basically got free electricity, you can't even get into the game in the first place, not at any scale. So you've got to buy the machines, you've got to maintain the machines, you've got to pay for electricity, and your rewards are BTC. But what if your rewards are not enough even to pay for refreshing the machines or to pay for the electricity? Like, remember, it's a business at the end of the day. And so those miners need to earn enough Bitcoin to turn a profit at the end of the day. That's what they need. And if they can't make money, then they turn off their machines. So we need more transaction volume so that the miners are incentivized to keep their machines on. That's the bottom line. So it looks like this could be a solution for that. And I'm really excited to play around with Moto Swap. This Moto Swap looks really, really cool. And so, Jeff, you were saying that I need to grab the OP wallet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this OP wallet just real quick. And I think I could probably do this live. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. You remember that guy? What was his name again? The broadcaster who got into some trouble when he said we'll do it live. It was kind of funny here. Yeah. So
hey Chad, I just sent you a DM so we can start talking about, you know, maybe doing a quick call and just kind of chatting about, you know, what bringing you on.
Awesome, man. So I'm right now creating
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Yes, thank you. Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it live. So right now I'm just creating a little burner wallet, my little OPNet burner wallet. And so let's see, Taproot or native SegWit. Okay, so we're going to run on Taproot because I'm assuming that OPNet makes use of Taproot assets to be able to launch those tokens. So
this part is important, fully non-custodial.
Yeah. I would say that is pretty important. And so there's something here that I'm not familiar with. MLDSA. Is that what Colin was talking about? Was he talking about MLDSA?
That's what we talked about earlier in the show. And then, yes, Colin brought it up again.
Got it.
I'll look that up. Keep going. I'll look that up.
Yeah, I'm really curious about MLDSA. Okay, so now that I've got the wallet, I should, and I've got my burner wallet all set up here, I should be able to connect over here on Moto Swap. So let's just see. Oh, it didn't see it. So I'm going to hit refresh. Let me hard refresh this thing. And let me just open this up. So there's the OP wallet. Oh, look at that. So you guys can't actually see my OP wallet.
So MLDSA has something to do with module lattice signing. Colin was saying it can take multiple attempts before you get a valid signature with MLDSA.
Got it. Okay, so I'm just going to, now that I've got my wallet fully set up here, I should be able to connect. Yeah, there it is. Awesome. It's connecting. So
David, in our private chat here, I posted the faucet address for testnet Bitcoin.
Got it.
And I can send you some like Moto tokens.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Tell you what, you send me Moto tokens, David, you send me more Satoshis.
You want some Satoshis, Mike?
I'm still not understanding that whole process. How you send me Satoshis. I really need another lesson.
You got to leer some more, bro.
It's all about leering.
It is. So here in the private chat, I just Jeff, I just gave you my my address so you can send me some fake Bitcoin. Yeah, bro. Let me get some of that fake Bitcoin. You know what I mean? All right.
I'll send you some Moto.
So Chad, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Chad was saying that MLDSA is the aspect that makes it quantum resistant.
Got it. Okay.
So and they had some pretty big upgrades recently, the past few months on the quantum resistance stuff. So,
dude, so I'm going through the capture right now at the OPNet faucet to get the fake Bitcoin. And it's asking me to select all the animals that do not have legs. And bro, I can't pass the captcha. I must be retarded, dude.
Dude, I hate those captchas. I can never get them right.
Dude, yeah, like, you know, they've had to make these captchas like much more difficult because the bots can pass them. But by making them much more difficult, stupid people can't pass them. So like, I'm having a hard time right now, dude. Oh man, I couldn't pass the captcha, dude. Jeff, can you send me some Bitcoin?
Just a
see.
couple. Just a couple.
Some Bitcoin, bro.
Wait,
Here, let me
you-
try again. Maybe I wasn't properly understanding. It says select all animals that do not have legs. Okay, so well, fish don't have legs, so I'll probably click on those. Yeah, the fish don't have legs. Okay, that horse has 3 legs. That's kind of weird looking. Okay, claim BTC. Awesome. Okay, so I can claim
I
again
just sent you-
tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
24 hours.
awesome. That's great, man. So now I wonder how fast it is. Look at that, 0.027. So I got some fake Bitcoin now. I should be able to swap it, yeah? So let's see. Over here, I want to see if I can swap my fake BTC for some of these orange pills. So the orange pill, that's the dollar, right? Is that the tokenized US dollar asset over here? I'm assuming that this is just a Taproot asset.
Yeah, it's
So
well, and go to your wallet, your OP wallet, and in the top right, your actual
there we
wallet
go.
browser extension.
Right. Yeah,
And
I'm
in the
but I don't
top
think
right,
you
hit
won't be able to
network.
see it. Okay,
No,
so I
but there's the OPNet testnet that you would need to be on, not the reg test.
yeah, that's what I'm on. I'm on the OPNet
Okay.
testnet. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you click on receive, you'll see that you'll have the Bitcoin address and then OP20 address too.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you need to send OPNet tokens, that would be the one to use.
Got it. Okay. So all I really want to do here is so it says you have no activity yet, no tokens, right? Well, that makes sense, but I've got the testnet tokens, or at least I've got testnet. There it is. So I just disconnected, reconnected, and it sees it. So now I should be able to swap that TBTC for some orange pill. And let's see, I'm going to swap 25%. So look at that. That is pretty awesome. And so that means 477 US. So here's something to think about. How do you make it keep the peg? So orange pill is just a meme coin. Oh, got it. So it's not it's not the US dollar.
No.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Chad, how do you keep the peg? How does that work? Because I'm assuming that you're planning to mint some type of US dollar pegged stablecoin
by
asset.
squeezing it tight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there would have to be some kind of stable coin for any kind of DeFi.
Yeah, there would have to be, or at least some fiat asset, right? So you would really want there to be, like a US dollar pegged stable coin. You would want there to be a yen stable. You would want there to be a euro.
Well, and I would guess that would involve an FX market as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he was saying Oracle based
on Bitcoin, priced in sats or Oracle based pools.
So you see this here? It says reservation pending. So I just initiated a swap, but the terminology here is unique a little bit. So is this actually a swap in the same way that you execute a swap on an EVM chain using a liquidity pool, where you've got asset A and asset B in the pool, and he says it works basically the exact same way. That's pretty awesome. Now, what is this reservation? Why is it that we have a reservation here? I'm curious about that.
I think that's the reorganization protection. You can select 1 block, 2 block, or 3 blocks for it to wait to execute the trade until the end of those blocks.
Got it.
It says for stablecoin issuance.
Got it.
Oh, referring to the same way. I think he was talking about
so what it sounds like is it's to mint the stablecoin.
Right. That's what it sounds like. All right.
Well,
So
like I said, I private messaged on X Chad to maybe do a call and figure out a good time to bring him on, and yeah, we'll do a deep dive on this for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and waiting for
100%.
that trade to execute will take a little while just because of the block times, depending on which one you choose. So that one will take a little bit.
So here, let's take a look at liquidity provision over here. This is pretty interesting to me. So let's say that I want to provide liquidity on Moto Swap in Orange Pill and Moto, the Moto Swap token.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that this is either V2 or V3, but I don't know which one it is yet. I can't quite tell. If I click on settings, it doesn't tell me V2 or V3. Reset, I'm assuming just resets the assets here. Um, now, if it's V2, Pill Moto is different than Moto Pill. So, um,
Dude, we just got Danny Plainview. It looks like he must work.
yeah,
He must work with Chad. He
yeah.
just followed us.
That's a great name, man. Plainview. He was the guy in There Will Be Blood. That was a great movie, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe we can get both Danny and Chad on, and they can, like I said, we can just do a episode where we do a deep dive on this.
Okay, so it says create native pool using that TBTC and pill, and it immediately gave me an error saying deployer is you did not deploy this token. Deployer is got it. So it does that mean that it's just saying I don't have that token in my wallet yet? Is that what this means? You did not deploy this token? Because the terminology is a little bit different here than it is on EVM chains. So for
Oh
Moto,
yeah,
it
that's
gives
creating a native pool. So the creating a native pool will only allow you to create the Bitcoin, and whatever other asset it is. That's the native pool. And if you add liquidity, you can, like, if you create your own token, like we had to create our own OP20 token in one of the tasks for this testnet campaign, and I had to add my token to when you go to liquidity, add liquidity. I had to add my token and then add the pill token and then add liquidity to that pool.
right.
So that's how you do the not native pairs other outside of Bitcoin. But yeah, if you don't have any of the
Liquidity,
tokens, you can't add liquidity.
liquidity. It's all about liquidity. So this is
Liquidity.
pretty cool. So I'm assuming though, Jeff, that these are full range pools. Because if I'm not setting a range, then these must be full range pools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
these
And
are
I can.
V2, then that must also mean that, they just basically like forked, Uniswap's V2 AMM kind of sort of. And so if you've got, 50% of asset A and 50% of asset B, um, and you're earning, this 0.2% spread, whatever the fee tier is, it looks like it's a fixed 0.2% in full range pools on this Moto Swap. It looks like a decentralized exchange is what this looks like.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. This is really,
I
really
haven't seen
cool.
any ranges that you can set or any options for like setting concentrated liquidity ranges. And they could add that, for sure. But I think this is
So Jeff, what can you tell us about the farms? You see these farms that I'm showing on the screen here?
yeah, the yield farms.
Yeah, so what exactly is this? So I've got these look like meme coins of some type. So you
Yeah,
see,
so
yeah,
those are in the OPNet portal where so the Odyssey was their whole campaign, and it was like a 14 or 15 week campaign where you have a set of tasks that you do each week, and you get these little NFTs for completing those tasks. And they just added this a few weeks ago. So what you do is create your own token, add liquidity to that token, and then create your own yield token for these yield farms, and then supply TBTC to those yield farm pools. They had this thing called Moto Chef, which was like a yield farming platform, but they merged it into Moto Swap.
So Chad's saying the farms are sushi swap master chef inspired based.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome.
And he also said range based pools will come in future DEX upgrades.
Okay, nice.
Amazing, amazing, dude. This is great. Now I see some real positive benefits to the Bitcoin mainnet from this, but I can also see how, some Bitcoin purists might be, not all that happy with this, because take a look, 417.
Are they ever happy with anything?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So I think this is great. But take a look, 417 pages of basically like just junk, right? Like there's nothing really going on here, but all of those, this is going to make it.
This is all just testnet though.
Right. But I mean, if you could imagine like all of this stuff on the mainnet, like, a lot of Bitcoin purists are going to get.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like after the launch, if all of this is going on, then a lot of them would be like, what the hell is basically meme doing on Bitcoin mainnet?
Right. They would get super pissed about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, look at Solana. I mean, Solana is a great chain, and project, but honestly, it's been kind of tainted, with all the meme coin crap that's on there.
Yeah, I think of Solana as a meme coin casino. That's the way I think of Solana. And it's really a shame because Solana is much more useful than that.
No, absolutely, and that's what I mean. And a lot of that meme coin volume has caused issues with Solana going down, and I mean there's when the Trump coin and Melania token were a big thing. I mean, remember the crashes and stuff that were and the locking up that was happening with Solana?
I do. I remember not being able to operate on Solana because the chain had actually crashed. And so
exactly.
A couple of days ago, Mike, I saw a post on X of, it was from the Solana Foundation, I think. And they were like, we haven't gone down in 2 years. And I was like, oh, great. It's kind of like, number of days since last fatality on the job site, like 365. Awesome. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of, I would like to see more legit DeFi on Solana. And yeah, see, look at what Chad's saying, man. He's saying Bitcoin is permissionless. The market will decide incentives for value. Yeah, it's value for value. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, value for value. And I love pricing everything in Satoshis, not in dollars. I really, really like that. Let's see, what else is he saying? Likely from very strong and usable DeFi protocols that launch on Bitcoin and provide a lot of value. The slow environment of Bitcoin doesn't provide a super optimal environment for meme coin trading on Bitcoin. Apps that provide good use cases will likely succeed over memes. Yeah.
Well, I like what he's saying, but that is kind of the issue we're talking about. Is if people can just create these memes at will, then it basically what's going to happen is what happened on Solana. You're just going to get a bunch of people clogging up the system with these memes and the trading and the swapping of these memes, and cause potential issues. And I'm not super technical like yourself, but I mean that would be my concern.
So you see, I'm trying to get this swap to execute, and this is my first time doing this, right? So I'm pretty interested in learning how to do this properly. Now, Jeff, you see what I've got going on here? It says swap reservation completed.
Yeah, go up to the notification bell up at
Gotcha.
the top right. Click that, and then use reservation. Click on that. Oh, you'll have to close the little tab on the side.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Use reservation.
Reservation. And then scroll down.
Okay.
And swap tokens. Yeah, you can see
Oh,
all
look
the
at that.
order.
The reservation expires in 1 block. Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool, man. Super cool. Look at that
And
shit,
then
dude. Oh, this is great. This is so good, man. This is so good. Yes, you can send me notifications. So good. Awesome. Okay, so this is a brand new
what's
way.
the auto protection right there at the bottom? There's a little tab. What does that
Yeah, it
say?
says auto protection,
Auto.
manual cancellation only. I'll go ahead and
All
turn that
right.
on.
So Chad says the friction and limitations of Bitcoin will weed out those users. On Solana, you have nearly limitless throughput, so 50,000 different tokens can launch for basically free every hour. The same is
Right.
not true for Bitcoin, where you have a maximum of 6,000 transactions per block every 10 minutes. Valid?
And
Yeah.
that's what they were talking about in the DeFi Bible, the slow-fi thesis, and
Okay.
how
Okay.
the added friction, instead of it being a problem, it might be the solution to. And the
Jay says you
APY
got
and
to bring
stuff.
Colin on so he can shit talk all over this.
I know. I know, dude.
Oh, so no, it's Colin, Chad. Just so you know, we have a show on tonight called The Red Pill. Colin is one of the original people at Avalanche, and him and David go at it quite a bit because David is very pro Bitcoin, and him and Colin are very high level in their knowledge, and they just go to town and they just love bashing on each other. So it's pure comedy. If you want to check it out, it's 6 p.m. Pacific tonight.
It's a
Very
lot of fun.
respectful, but
No, yeah, no, it's all in good fun. It's all in good
Yeah.
fun. We have drinks, we laugh, we joke, we hug, we cry. It's great.
Oh, look at that. It completed and it gave me a little ding in my headset too, man. I love that.
Perfect.
Yeah. Reminds me of the trading confirmations that I used to get from like Thinkorswim back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time. So David, what do you got for closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, closing thoughts. Let me go ahead and bring it on over here to TradingView just real quick. Let's just take a look and see what markets are doing. So the thing for me is I believe this is a Bitcoin bear market that we are in. So that means in the midterm year, during a Bitcoin bear market, you get a rally in March. And I think that the guy to watch for Bitcoin cycle analysis is for sure Benjamin Cowan. He has been so correct this entire cycle. He's basically nailed the cycle. And I think that he's going to continue to be right. So that tells me that we probably get more upside throughout the rest of March, even with all of the volatility out of crude oil and this volatility here out of the S&P and the NASDAQ over the last couple of sessions. Of course, you got to check out the Russell moving a little bit lower, VX popping. But remember, volatility is mean reverting. The thing that I'm really watching here closely is bond market volatility. This is what I'm watching most closely. So this, I think, is the only thing that could cancel that March Bitcoin rally is if we get some real volatility out of the bond market. And the reason why I'm watching this so closely is if we just go ahead and zoom in here a little bit, and let me remove this drawn object, the bond market vol, if you invert the scale, and then if you throw the S&P over top of this, what you'll see is that these are extremely tightly positively correlated. Well, in this case, it's a very tight inverse correlation. But the thing that's kind of worrisome is which one is the leader and which one is the laggard. So if bond market vol leads the S&P, well, then you might expect more downside out of the S&P. So the S&P is in blue, bond market vol inverted is the candlestick chart. And we're starting to get some alligator jaws here. And this spread, if I just go ahead and grab my brush, this spread here, these alligator jaws, they might actually shut here. So you got your alligator, right? He's got his jaws right here, and this might actually, which way are we going to see it? Are we going to see bond market vol, compress, or are we going to see the S&P catch down to bond market vol? Interesting to watch, but those are my final thoughts here. And crude oil in the immediate term probably is important to watch, but over the longer period of time, I am definitely watching bond market volatility. So volatility.
Oh, here, hold on. Got to add. There we go. All right, Jeff. Closing thoughts before I wrap this up.
No, I appreciate you letting me join you guys on the morning show.
Oh,
to break
freaking
this all
absolutely,
down.
dude. You're part of the Node team.
Yeah.
You can always come up. So
But
I just want to do.
Because I've been interested in wanting to get more of a deeper dive on this stuff, because I know David's been deep in David and Don have been working on Lightning Network and Noster, and they have much greater knowledge than myself. So yeah, I appreciate all the deep dive into this, and even the Chad and everybody on X jumping on, and it's gonna be awesome to see what they have to say next week. So
I can't wait. That's super cool.
I'll be chatting with Chad, and we'll see what his availability is like, and we'll just do a dedicated show. Where we'll do some, our usual, we'll do some news, and then we'll bring him on for an interview, and he can walk us through and just do a deep dive. And David, you can go back and forth with him, and Jeff, if you want to come on again, and his other team member that I just followed, if he wants to come on as well. I would love to have him on, because there's no better advocates and no better people knowledge base wise than the people working on the fucking project.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and then and of course we're going to hold them to account. We have our subject matter expert David on Bitcoin and all that stuff, and it's not going to be a fluff piece. We're going to see if we can find any flaws in it or any anything negative about it as well. So anyway, yeah, stand by for that. But I want to do a shout out real quick to, let's do this. Let me share my screen.
You see what Zip said in the chat? Quality leering today.
Yes, very quality leering.
Oh.
So why the hell is my screen not coming up? All right, let's try this again.
Yeah, sometimes StreamYard can be a little bit finicky.
Let's see.
Pinocchio.
There we go. You know what you might have to do, Mike, is you might have to refresh the page that you're trying to share, or just stop the screen share and
there it goes.
There you go. I just added
All
a
right.
different.
All right, that works. So if you could, starting Monday, we're not going to be streaming on DeFi Crypto and airdrops anymore. The only YouTube channel that we're going to be streaming on is going to be the Node. So the Node _channel. That's the place to be. So please go over there, follow us, like all that jism and jazz. And want to do a shout out as well. We got just shy of 200 people watching live across YouTube and X. And we got about 30, 40 people watching on the arena. So great audience today. Appreciate y'all. We are here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific, noon to 2 Eastern. And tonight, if you want to join us, again, will be our show, The Red Pill. Actually, I'll scroll down and show you. Here's our 6 p.m. Pacific. So that would be 9 p.m. Eastern. Basically, we all get together. We get drunk and talk shit and talk about politics and
crypto, we don't do that.
And everything you're not supposed to talk about. So that's going to be us tonight. So if you want to stop by and have a couple laughs with us, you're more than welcome. We hope to see you then. Until next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace out.